Okay, so if you watched the last episode, we talked about a bit about the problems we had at the driver's school. So I thought I'd spend a bit of time and go through it and show you what we need to work on and what we did work on. So what was the problem? Well, the problem was that above about 4,000 RPM, the car was not revving. Basically, it was missing. And so we tried a couple of different things. In fact, we tried a lot of different things. So the first thing that happened was, actually before we even got there, the car died after 3 laps in the first session. It had a miss, but then it completely died. And believe it or not, the coil died. And I think I talked about it in a prior video. We did on the shakedown test, the first lap of the shakedown test, the rotor that goes in the distributor had broken. So 2 really weird failures. But anyway, so the coil broke, had a spare coil, put it in, that was good. And then we got the car running, but still we had this problem of it missing above 4,000 RPM. So let's talk about all things we tried. And by the way, we'd had a similar problem before we got to the track. And I don't know if you remember, I had replaced the master kill switch because I thought that might be the problem, and I'd gone through all the wiring. We also had a brand new carb, so we thought we'd probably fix the issue, but it turned out we didn't. So it was getting pretty annoying at that point, so we had to work our way methodically through it. And there was a couple of people at the track who were super helpful in trying to do that. But let's talk about the things we actually tried, really pretty much to no avail. So the first thing we did is you'll see we kind of have a bit of a botch job here, but we created some separation between the spark wires just to make sure we get a clean signal. Another thing we thought about doing, but we didn't need to do it, was this earth strap. It's on the exhaust, and apparently, I didn't know this actually, but apparently as heat increases, so does resistance. So putting the earth strap on the exhaust close to the heat is probably not a great idea. So we're going to move that down here to the transmission. Let's go to the other side and look at a couple of other things we changed. So you probably won't notice this, but it used to be that the fuel line came into the fuel pump and the fuel filter was in here. Well, a bunch of people let me know that they prefer to see the fuel pump on the pressure side rather than the vacuum side of the fuel pump. Not something I knew, but it totally makes sense. So we moved that across there. And then the other thing that we did was we were worried that basically, here's the kill switch. The wiring basically runs to the dash and there's a bunch of things and it comes back up here. So we were worried that we had some sort of issue at up at this end of the car. So at the track, we changed this ignition switch, and also, don't know if you can see it because it's dark in here right now, we have the battery down there. We actually put a fresh battery in as well. So we did all of that to no avail. And then the next thing we did is, and this is pretty smart, not my idea, we didn't short, but basically we skipped all the wiring forward of the master cylinder, and all we did is, once we turned the kill switch on, we ran power straight to the coil. And the idea there was we cut out all of that wiring. And so the idea really there was just to kind of get rid of that and understand what was going on. Unfortunately, we still had the problem. So at that point, where it left us was, the good news what it left us was, we knew the problem was rear of the roll hoop, so to speak. And the only 3 things that are really rear of the roll hoop that could impact the miss are your coil, your distributor, and your carb. Carb is brand new, so we didn't suspect any issues there. But we took it apart and we found that the float plunger was actually loose, even though it was a brand new carb. So we fixed that. The other thing we did is this was a little bit loose, this coil lead, so we made a brand new one of those to run it through. None of that made any difference at all. So at this point, this was late Saturday afternoon. Luke's missing all the sessions. We still had problems. The last thing we tried is we checked the timing, so the advance on the distributor. And it did seem that it was pretty low, so it wasn't very far advanced. And so we advanced it quite a bit, and that did have a positive impact. I was able to take it for a quick kind of drag up and down the street, and the car pulled really cleanly up to about 4,800, but then it died again. So it had made an impact, but not enough. Unfortunately, that was the end of our time kind of playing around it. Saturday morning, we felt like that would be good enough for Luke to keep going. But it wasn't really in the end, as we found out. So here we are back at the house, still have a problem. Don't know exactly what it is, but we're running out of problems that it could possibly be. So it kind of can't hide anymore. So what I did was I made a call to the great folks up at Ivy Engines in Pacific Northwest, talked to those guys, and we already have a brand new carb from them. And so all that's left is the coil, and we think the coil is pretty good, and the distributor. So ordered a new distributor. So it's arrived. So let's have a little look at it. Okay, so what we have here is brand new distributor and a matched coil. I believe this is a 1.5 ohm coil. I could be wrong on that, but I know that the coil is matched to the distributor. These distributors actually apparently come from the UK. What is different about this? Well, a couple of things as I understand it. First is it's an electronic unit rather than a points and condenser deal. So you can see the electronic unit in there, which is kind of cool. Why do we care about that? It's going to be more reliable. And then the other thing that's interesting about it, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the cam in here is very crisp. It's not kind of a rounded cam. So apparently they work really well. The Ivy guys tell me they use them on bigger motors as well, and they are very, very reliable. So like I said, this car is running out of reasons to not run well. And this is essentially, as far as I can remember, the last non-brand new part on it in terms of the drivetrain and everything else. So let's work on installing it. Okay, so started swapping out the new distributor for the old. There's also a coil. I've taken this coil out. This is a 3 ohm coil, and it's the new distributor is matched to 1.5 ohm. So let's have a little look here. Here's the new coil in here. It's just sitting there right now. Here is the old distributor, and I've just rotated the engine around. If you look on the distributor cap, you might be able to see a number 1, a piece of blue tape that says which coil wire, or sorry, spark wire is number 1. It's this one here. And so what I've done is, I'll take this off, you might be able to see it. The rotor there, the distributor, is firing on cylinder number 1. So now what I'm going to do is take that distributor out, put the new one in, and I need to make sure that when I put the new one in, the rotor on the new one points in pretty much exactly the same place so that it's firing on cylinder 1. So let's see how we do. Okay, the new coil and distributor are in. It took a bit of work actually. Probably can't see it, but there's a bracket in there for holding the distributor in. It didn't fit, so I had to cut and drill and do some interesting stuff. We got the coil in. We've had to kind of create some wiring for it. So I think we are ready to actually see, is this car going to start with the new stuff. So fingers crossed. This is always a nervy part of the process, so let's see what happens. Okay, here we go. So have a little look in here. Power on. Ignition is on. Let's see what happens. It's a positive sign. wasn't sure that was going to work. So that's a good sign. So now what we need to do is actually time the engine, meaning, or time the advance. So my cameraman's got a question for me.
The screen just turned black. Is it still recording?
No, it's still recording.
Okay, good.
So that is a really good sign. So now we just got to time it, meaning the time the spark advance. I just put it in there. It's roughly in the right spot. The fact that it started is really good. So the next thing to do is get the timing line out and make a lot of noise with this engine as we rev it to about 4,000 RPM, and then adjust the timing on it. Everybody's home in the neighborhood right now, 6 p.m. So probably aren't going to do that right now. That might be a tomorrow job. But that's good news. We're locked in. It's working.
Nice, good stuff.
I think this is the most relaxed I've ever been at a car related event. So let me show you where we're at. So this is a place called Crow's Landing, and it is let's see, about an hour and a half away from San Francisco, and we're at an autocross. And an autocross is a little bit different in the US versus Ireland, in that an autocross is you have a time run through a course made up of cones. And so we're at this place, Crow's Landing, which I just found out, it's basically 2 runways, and I just found out it was the backup runway for the shuttle to land on. So it's a NASA base. So pretty cool location. The reason I'm so relaxed is I'm not driving today. We're here to get the car running and give Luke more seat time. And autocrosses are a bit more relaxed than racing anyway in terms of the schedule. So I get to basically sit around, look at the great scenery, look at some nice cars for the next hour and a half to 2 hours. Luke is out on he's a turn worker, so he's picking up cones and waving the flag when people make a mistake, which is great. He gets to do the work and I get to relax for a change. But so here's the plan. Here's a couple of things that have changed since we left the somewhat unsuccessful racing driver school session about 2 weeks ago. Our big problem was the car wouldn't rev over 5,000 RPM. So we have a brand new coil on there and a brand new distributor with basically electronic ignition, and it seems to be, I'm told, it's the go-to thing to have. So we got it from the nice guys at Ivy up in the Northwest, so they shipped it down to us. I've put it in, so we're hoping that solves the problem. Went through the carb again just to make sure there was no issues there, and it is a new coil, and the coil is matched to the distributor. So fingers crossed that solves our problem, but we're going to find out here. Couple of other things we're checking on. We had problems changing gears, getting into 4th gear specifically. I have played around with some things. I think it's going to help. We will see, although Luke's unlikely to get into 4th gear, but at least if the car is shifting okay, that will be a win. So they're the main things car-wise that we're focusing on. And then the other things we're focusing on is Luke's driving. He just needs more seat time. So I've told him to really focus on being smooth in terms of his transitions from the throttle to the brake and vice versa, and so we will see what happens. You got your foot on the clutch? Off. Pull that out. How was that?
Good.
1 sec. You hit 3.
I hit 3?
Yeah.
Bro.
So how was it?
It was good.
Yeah.
I definitely have more grip than I
Okay.
think.
What about the engine?
Oh, it's so good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it doing exactly like all the power is there?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you manage to get second or did you need to?
I didn't need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was fun? Okay. You knocked off a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like 8 seconds, I think?
Yeah, but I also, yeah.
You what?
Yeah.
Okay, that was good. So what went well and what do you want to think about for next one?
Now I like know the track more.
Okay.
The other ones I kind of forgot it a little bit.
Okay.
But I can definitely, there's definitely a lot of time.
Okay, good. So just keep on. That was perfect. Just want to keep getting more comfortable, all right?
Okay.